Hello everyone, and Miss Meek is here to talk about how to write an inequality. We are also going to talk about graphing inequalities as well. So we're going to be hitting two pretty important topics here. Now, as we talked about, inequalities are those symbols less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And so to write an inequality from a word problem, it's recognizing what words represent those symbols. That's really the big idea here. So I've kind of made you a little cheat sheet here of some of the most common words that represent these different symbols. So for example, less than, we have fewer than, under, below, smaller or shorter than. I like to think about this in terms of age or even money. If you have fewer than $10, that doesn't mean that you have $10. That means you have less than $10. So you have, $9.99 or less. Greater than, we have more than, exceeds, above, over, larger, taller than. Those are all words that mean greater than. So again, if my money exceeds $10, that means that I don't have $10. It means that I have more than $10. That I have, $10.01 at least, greater than that. Then we have our new symbols that we were talking about, less than and equal to and greater than or equal to. For less than and equal to, words that mean that is maximum, at most, no more than, up to, and not greater than. For example, think about this one in terms of age. The maximum age for the movie is 10 years old. That means that you have to be 10 years old or less in order to go to this movie. Or think about it in terms of height and roller coasters. The maximum height for this ride is 5 foot. That means that you can be 5 foot and ride the ride, but if you're bigger than 5 foot, you don't get to go on this ride. It's 5 foot or less. For greater than or equal to, minimum, at least, no less than, down to, not smaller than. Again, think about this in terms of height. You have to be a minimum of, 4 foot to go on this roller coaster. That means that you can be 4 foot or taller. You cannot be shorter than 4 foot. But if you are 4 foot, yes, you get to go on the ride. That's how that equal to part works in greater than or equal to. So again, recognizing these words and thinking about what do they mean? Does that mean that I have to be bigger than that? Does that mean that I have to be less than that? Can I be equal to that? That is going to be your best idea of how to tackle these problems and know what symbol is happening. Again, with these problems, you are going to have a variable, and again, you're going to have a variable, a symbol, and a number, and we're going to write it in that order. Variable, symbol, number. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at number 1. It says, Ginny must be over 13 years old to ride the ride. So right here, first of all, we're talking about Ginny's age. So Ginny's age here is going to be our variable, and so I'm just going to use A for age. So that is our variable. Let's see what's happening in this problem. It says that she must be over 13. So let's think about that. Can she be 13 and still ride this ride? No. It says she has to be over 13. So that means that it has to be greater than 13. It can't be greater than or equal to because it says she has to be over 13. And so our symbol is going to be greater than, and how much does she have to be greater than? She has to be greater than 13. So our inequality is going to be A is greater than 13. And again, A stands for Ginny's age. That is what that A stands for, Ginny's age. Okay. Number 2, Sam is less than 6 feet tall. Sam is less than 6 feet tall. So here we go. Again, we're talking about height here. We're talking about Sam's height. I'm going to use H to represent height. So again, this H right here is Sam's height, how tall he is. And let's see, what does it say about his height? It has to be less than 6 foot. Now, this one's kind of simple. All right, think about what symbol is less than. That is where we have our number on the left is less than the number on the right. And that number on the right, what do we have to be less than? We have to be less than 6 foot tall. So Sam is less than 6 foot tall. That is going to be H is less than 6. For number 3, it says you must be at least 10 to drive a go-kart. So I'm assuming they're talking about age here. So again, I'm going to use A to represent age. And again, this A represents your age. So your age must be at least 10. So our key word to zoom in on is at least. Does that mean that you can, at least, so you have to be at least 10. Does that mean that you can be 10 and drive the go-karts? Yes, it does. So we know that we have either less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. I'm going to go ahead and draw my little half equal sign there. And then at least. Think about, what does that mean? Does that mean that I have to be 10 or less, or is that 10 or more? Well, at least means that I have to be 10 or higher than 10, okay? And so that means that my age has to be 10 or greater than 10, okay, in order to ride this go-kart. That means that I can be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I just can't be like 9 or 8, okay? I can even be 10. 10 would work. As long as I'm 10, I can drive this go-kart, okay? But I can't be less than 10, okay? And so my age has to be greater than 10 or equal to 10. And so that is greater than or equal to. So A is greater than or equal to 10. Number 4, the elevator can hold a maximum of 500 pounds. So again, we're talking about the elevator here. I'm just going to use E to represent our elevator weight. This is our elevator weight. Whoops. Make sure I can spell here. Weight. Okay. And the word to zoom in on here is maximum. So think about maximum, and it's 500. So a maximum of 500 pounds. Can I have 500 pounds in the elevator? Yes, I can have 500 pounds in the elevator. So this is going to be an equal to symbol. Okay. Now we got to figure out, is it less than or equal to or greater than or equal to? Maximum means that there's a limit, right? So can I go over that limit? Can the weight be greater than 500? No. If maximum means like, hey, you can only put this much in the elevator and then like the elevator could crash, okay? So that means that it has to be under 500, which means this is going to be a less than symbol. And again, it's less than or equal to because maximum says that, hey, it can be 500, it just can't be over 500. It has to be less than 500. So my inequality is E is less than or equal to 500. So that is how we write inequalities, but another part of this lesson is graphing inequalities. So when we have our inequality, how can I represent this answer on the graph? Now, the big thing about inequalities is that, remember, there are a lot of numbers that can be true here. So like on number 1, x is less than 3. What I want to represent on my graph is every number that I could plug in for x that makes that statement true. Which, if you think about it, that's going to be every number less than 3, right? So 3 is where all of this is starting. So I am going to circle 3 on my number line. Now, is 3 less than 3? No, it's not. You can't be less than what you are, okay? So I cannot, remember, the whole goal is we want to shade in, we want to show everything on the number line that this is equal to. And it's not equal to 3. So I cannot shade in, I cannot color in this circle right here. This circle is actually going to stay open, just like that. An open circle means that it is not equal. And that is what's happening here, is I have something here that is not equal. 3 is not less than 3. So I cannot shade in that circle. However, I can shade in everything that makes this inequality true. So I want to shade on my number line every number that is less than 3. So is 4 less than 3? No, it's not. So I will not be shading 4. What about 2? Is 2 less than 3? Yes. 1? Yes. 0? Yes. What about negatives? Yeah, all of these negatives, every number actually to the left is less than 3. And so I am going to shade every number to the left, and I'm even going to draw an arrow on the end like that, because if my number line kept going, so would my shading. I would continue to shade all the way to negative infinity because all of those numbers are less than 3. But again, did not shade in 3. That's why that circle is not shaded in, because 3 is not less than 3. This right here, guys, is called an open circle. And the reason why it's open is because 3 is not less than 3. I cannot shade that in. Take a look at number 2. X is greater than 7. So again, I want to shade in on this number line all of the numbers that are greater than 7. So this is taking place at 7, so I'm going to circle it. Now, is 7 greater than 7? No, it's not. You can't be greater than what you are. So I am not going to be shading in that circle there at 7, but I am going to shade in all of the numbers that are greater than 7. So is 6 greater than 7? No. Is 5 greater than 7? No. So I'm not shading the numbers to the left of 7 because those are actually all going to be less, and those numbers don't make my inequality true. However, all of the numbers to the right here, so 8 and 9, 10, they're all greater than 7. And so I'm going to shade, and again, I'm going to put an arrow on the end because if my number line kept going on, again, so would my shading. And again, guys, notice you have that open circle. And the reason why you have that open circle is because 7 is not greater, or not 3, sorry, that's from the other problem. 7 is not greater than 7. This is not true. And because that's not true, I cannot shade that circle in. So an open circle means that you have something that is not equal to the number that we're talking about. So in number 1, we were talking about a 3. 3 is not less than 3. Can't shade it in. Same thing on number 2. We were talking about 7. 7 is not greater than 7. Can't shade it in. You will find that when you have less than or greater than, when you're trying to represent those on a number line, you will not be shading in those circles. It will be an open circle because these numbers can't equal each other, okay? But you will find, surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly to you, that on questions like number 3 and 4, where we have that equal sign, that the statements are true, and we will get to shade those circles in. So let's take a look at number 3 here. On number 3, it says x is less than or equal to -1. So we're talking about -1. I'm going to circle that on the number line. Now my first question is -1 less than -1? No, it's not. However, remember, with this symbol, we have another option. Is -1 equal to -1? Yes, it is. And because the answer is yes, I get to shade that circle in. That is called, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I get to shade the circle in. Now, I do want to, just like before, I want to shade everything on my number line that makes this statement true. So I want to shade in all of the numbers less than -1. I already shaded in the number that is equal to -1, so that's taken care of. So now I just need to shade in all of the numbers less than -1. And if I look on my number line, all of the numbers less than -1 are going to be over here to the left. And so I'm going to shade all of these numbers to the left here. Again, putting an arrow on the end there because if my number line was longer, I would be shading in more things. Okay? This right here is called a closed circle. A closed circle means that you have a true statement here. So, for example, -1 is not less than -1. However, we have that greater than sign, and it is greater than. And so, as you can see right here, because of that greater than symbol, this is a true statement here. This is a true statement. So again, this is correct, and that is why we get to shade in that circle. Our last one here is x is greater than or equal to 0. So again, the number we're talking about here is 0. Is 0 greater than 0? No, but remember, with this symbol, we have a second option. Is 0 equal to 0? Yes, it is. So I am going to be shading in that circle. So again, right here, we have another closed circle. This is going to be a closed circle. And again, the reason why is because 0 is not greater than 0, but it is greater than or equal to 0. This like little line right here, equal to, makes this a true statement, and that's why I get to shade in that circle. Now, the other thing that I want to shade in is all of the numbers greater than 0, because that's what it says. X is greater than 0. So what numbers are greater than 0? It's going to be all of these numbers here to the right. And so I'm going to shade all of these numbers right here on the number line to the right. Again, putting an arrow, because if my number line was bigger, my shading would continue on as well. Okay, guys, so this is, again, just going over how to write inequalities, those words that kind of mean all of our different symbols, and also how to graph inequalities. There are two options. You can either have an open circle. Open circles are caused by these types of symbols here where you don't have that equal to. And closed circles are caused by these guys because when you plug that number in, it does equal the number that you're talking about. And so you get to shade in that circle because it is equal. It makes the statement true. All right, I hope this cleared up any confusion you may have. I'll talk to you later. Bye.